Hey everybody, it's GoblinX and welcome back to another Arena Cube draft. Let's just see what we open up, see what we want to roll with here. So we've got Ashiok Dreamrender, which I have played against in one game of Cube. I did end up beating the deck that was using it, but this card mills you incredibly fast for a limited format. 4 cards a turn means if this manages to stay out for just 3 turns, that's basically half your deck, because you start with a 40 card library, draw 7 immediately. 3 turns later, you've drawn 3 cards per turn, so that's 40 minus 30, that's basically a 30 card deck. By the time this will have been used 3 times, in which case, it'll be milling like 12 cards, that's almost half the deck. It's pretty insane. It's just a lot of mill really quickly, so for a mill strategy, Ashiok could be pretty ridiculous, and you don't even really need a lot to go around with it. You could also just be some kind of control strategy, and this could be kind of your game ender, because then if you're going for a long game, mill is definitely a viable win con, even off of just like this one card. So Ashiok's pretty interesting. We do have Torbran, Thane of Redfell, which could be absolutely insane in a mono-red aggressive deck. Niv Mizzet Reborn is funny. I've never tried the 5-color thing, but it's definitely a thing you can do. Field of the Dead works in a pretty similar kind of deck, because this one's you'd have a lot of different non-basic lands. So yeah, lots of decent cards in here, and usually with the first picks, it's a lot of just taking the cards that you kind of feel like it. At least in my opinion. You can't go incredibly wrong in Cube just because everything's so powerful. So we've got Ashiok here, and we've got Scarab God passed to us in this next pack, and the Scarab God is a ridiculous card. This absolutely dominated Standard for a while. 5 mana for a 5/5. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. It's kind of whatever, little zombie tribal synergies. The really powerful ability here is for 2, a blue and a black, you can exile a creature card from a graveyard and then get a 4/4 black zombie copy of it. So this is just absolutely insane. If you can land this on the field and it doesn't immediately get removed, you can just start doing nothing but activating its ability and just overwhelming the board with 4/4s of whatever has died throughout the game. So Scarab God is a ridiculous card. It's also really difficult to kill because when it dies, it comes back to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So most of the time, can only really be temporarily killed as well. So very powerful card. It does also work well with Ashiok. Obviously, Ashiok exiling our opponent's graveyard is not perfect with it, but we can mill ourselves with the Scarab God and do that kind of thing. So Command the Dread Horde is another interesting card for some sort of self-mill strategy, but at 6 mana, paying a bunch of life can be a pretty high cost, because if you're playing against anything aggressive, you're not likely to have a lot of life left at that point. So I don't really know how I feel about that. I think I might want to just roll with Patient Rebuilding here and just keep taking kind of blue-black sort of mill cards. Shark Typhoon is really nice, though. Obviously, if you drop this down as an enchantment, getting a giant shark every time you play any non-creature is pretty nice. Alternatively, you can do that instant speed surprise shark ambush with the cycling. So I think these are both pretty good. I guess I'll go with Shark Typhoon. Shark Typhoon is just more open. And Patient Rebuilding might wheel. I don't think mill. I assume mill wouldn't be like the most popular strategy ever. Oh my god, Godpharaoh's Gift? A little bit awkward for a blue-black deck, because we're more likely to be controlling and milling our opponent, and Godpharaoh's Gift only brings back creatures from our own graveyard, but this card is absolutely bonkers. Obviously, once you cast it, you start just every turn, you're getting a 4/4 version of one of your creatures that's died early in the game back, so this seems a little late for this. I think this card is just one of the best cards in the Cube, at least in my opinion. However, yeah, we're really not the deck for it, unfortunately. We are looking more like a control-y kind of build, so maybe we just want Epic Downfall, nice little exile spell, or even Champion of Wits could be good in this deck. Draw 2, discard 2, that fills our grave a little for Scarab God. I'll just go with the removal spell, roll with the Epic Downfall for now. What have we here? Got a blue-black dual land, Zagoth Triome. We've got Hypnotic Sprite, can kind of counter something and then get played as a 2/1 flyer. Blood for Bones can be for a Reanimator strategy. Haven't really tried a Reanimator deck in Cube either, or even seen one played against me, really. Then we have like Gray Merchant once you'd have a lot of black mana symbols among your permanents. So as close to mono black as you can be. I guess right now Ashiok does have double black, Scarab God has 1 black. Gray Merchant might be okay. I think it's like Gray Merchant, Blood for Bones, or Zagoth Triome here. Blood for Bones if I'm wanting to try something a little different, Zagoth Triome just to fix mana, or Gray Merchant just as a nice little life-draining card. I think I'm just going to roll with Gary. Alright, another Dimir card. That is good. Looks like Dimir is open. There's also Merfolk's Secret Keeper for Mill. Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths is the Dimir card. 4 mana for 3/2 Menace. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library, separates them into a face-down and face-up pile. You put one into your hand and the other into your graveyard, so it gives you a nice fun little sub-game. I guess I will take Atris over the Merfolk's Secret Keeper. I'm not really going to go all in on like hyper-aggro mill to where I want a card that's just like, this is going to mill you the set amount and then sit there and block stuff. I'd prefer cards that are going to mill my opponent multiple times over the course of the game, like Ashiok and Patient Rebuilding. I'll just take the good value kind of card here. We've got Reassembling Skeleton, can I guess block a lot of things. Exclusion Mage can slow our opponents down. Fabled Passage is obviously mana fixing in any deck, period. What do we want to do here? I guess Fiend Artisan, we could also just play this for double black, but we're sacrificing creatures to search for creatures, probably not going to be a creature-heavy deck in the first place. So I guess it's Exclusion Mage or Reassembling Skeleton here, really. I'm just going to roll with the, well, I kind of like the idea of picking up the Reassembling Skeleton, and maybe we can pivot Ashiok into more of a self-mill kind of thing. If cards like Blood for Bones wheel later, maybe we can try to move into the Reanimator kind of thing and use Reassembling Skeleton as a creature to get onto the field if we self-milled, or sacrifice 2 Blood for Bones. That could be fun. I don't know if it'll pan out, but it seems like it would be a fun thing to do. Labyrinth of Scofo seems okay. If we get into the late game, we can start using this to slow our opponents down, not die so fast. One of our lands can prevent some damage. Yeah, Warkite Marauder seems pretty aggressive. Village Rites wants us to have a lot of creatures. I suppose we do have the Reassembling Skeleton to sacrifice to it, but that's really just one creature to sacrifice right now. So here's our pack 1. We got Brazen Bar, we're still in here, so I might as well scoop that up. Seems not bad at all. Slow our opponent down with Petty Theft, and then have a nice little flying blocker. Unfortunately, it can only block flyers, but that's still a thing. I think this was the pack with Patient Rebuilding in it, so I guess that got picked up, unfortunately. I think I'd rather... Platinum Angel, I mean, it looks cute, but just one removal spell, and then that was just a 7 mana 4/4 flyer with basically no text. So I think I want to just take one of these dual lands in case I'm splashing another color. I think I'd be more likely to try to do Esper here than Sultai, so I'm going to pick up the white-black dual. And some garbage. Take Ovia here. God Pharaoh's Gift. Everybody's sleeping on God Pharaoh's Gift. Nobody wants it. That's crazy. I'm not likely to have enough creatures to make good use of it because I'm not aggressive, but I think this is just a really good top end for any moderately aggressive deck with a decent amount of creatures. Karuga, a dual land, or a draw land. I'm going to take the dual land. Leave us a little more open to Grixis, and then Demonic Embrace. I mean, this is for a black deck that has a lot of creatures, so probably not going to end up running it, but we'll see. We might move into some kind of weird Dimir aggro Now that I have Godfarrow's Gift and Demonic Embrace, maybe I want to actually have a lot of creatures in this deck. Let's see. Not a ton in here, really. I don't see anything that looks super impressive off color, so I think I'm going to take one of these random creatures into Dimir, so that'll help for the more aggressive kind of build if we want to do that. We've got Orzhov Enforcer that can hold off our opponent for a little bit with that Death Touch. Pteramander. Don't know how many instants and sorceries I'm going to have. Probably a decent amount, but right now I really don't have much. Vengeful Rebel. Revolt would probably be a little difficult to trigger. I think I'd rather have one of these two. Excuse me. I'm going to pick up this Orzhov Enforcer. Alright. I suppose we can take Thassa's Oracle and definitely move in on the Self-Mill. Kind of like Cry of the Carnarium here as well, though. Cry of the Carnarium is obviously going to be great against aggressive decks. Help us survive those early turns by trying to wipe their board, even if their stuff has Indestructible like Adanto Vanguard. And yeah, Thassa's Oracle's cute. It allows you to win by milling yourself. So that's cute. I think I want Cry of the Carnarium here, though. Crawling Barrens is really nice as well, though. I'd say those are the three I'm looking at the most here. Again, nothing outside of our colors is that exciting. What do we have now? We do have Unburial Rites. I don't really have anything big to reanimate currently. We've got Search for Azcanta. It's good in the control kind of decks. Heartless Act is a nice removal spell. Guess I'll roll with the Search for Azcanta. It helps with the Self-Mill and will help us get a lot of value later if we end up with a lot of non-creature, non-land cards. In a classic Dimir control sense, I like Murderous Rider a lot. It's an instant speed, destroy target creature removal spell, and then it turns into a nice little lifelinking blocker. So I'm going to pick that one up for sure. Ooh, Thoughtseize? Absolute historic staple. Don't mind if I do. There's other decent cards here. There's like Censor. Blood Artist is good. I don't know about this deck. I guess we are starting to get a little bit more creatures, so maybe Blood Artist would be okay. Gravebreaker Lamia would work for a Reanimator kind of deck. Kind of a weird card. 5 mana 4/4 lifelinker that throws something into your graveyard, so we could search for whatever we want to reanimate and then try to do that, but we still don't actually have any reanimation spells. We've just seen them kind of running around in the packs. I feel like that's pretty much where the reanimation strategy is always going to be, at least for me, because I just have no idea how you would even really go about trying to do that in this cube. So Neutralize, a counterspell that we can cycle. Dungeon Geists is another creature. Tap something down as long as it's on the battlefield. I kind of like Dungeon Geists here. I think this is just going to end up being a pretty creature-heavy, mid-rangey kind of Dimir deck, because we've got Scarab God and Godfarrow's Gift that are both going to want us to have a lot of creatures to be able to reanimate from our graves with their abilities. So I think Dungeon Geists works pretty well there. Now we can take Elspeth's Nightmare as another little removal spell kind of thing. Not a huge fan of their Dreadhorde Invasion. It's alright, but I think I'd like to go with Elspeth's Nightmare here. Eliminate, probably. Nice early game removal spell. Destroy a creature planeswalker with mana cost 3 or less. There's also Castle Vantress, though. That'll get us to Scry in the late game. Seems like pretty good value. Also, Black Plume Rogue is a double-faced land and non-land. So lots of good options here. I'm going to roll with Eliminate. Pteramander and Vengeful Rebel wield. I don't have a lot of ways to trigger Revolt by myself. I'm going to have to try to just trade in one of my random creatures to trigger that Revolt, so that's not the craziest, but Pteramander seems really weird for this deck, so I guess I'm going with Vengeful Rebel. Crawling Barrens is still in here, as well as Thassa's Oracle. I don't think I'm really doing any of the mill kind of stuff anymore at this point, so I don't think I need the Thassa's Oracle. We'll pick up that Crawling Barrens. Unburial Rites is still in here, though. I could do that. Cruel Reality. 7 mana at the beginning of an enchanted player's upkeep. They sacrifice a creature, planeswalker, and if they can't, they lose 5 life. I feel like that could end up going really poorly. Yeah, that doesn't actually seem very good. I'm actually going to take Slitherblade here, because if you bring back Slitherblade as a 4/4 with Scarab God or Godfarrow's Gift, you've now got a 4/4 unblockable, which is pretty sick. But yeah, that Cruel Reality, I do not like that. I feel like I've played against a lot of decks that end up having a ton of creatures on the board, even if they aren't token decks. I've played against a lot of token decks, and I've also played against just a lot of like white weenie, mono red aggro kind of decks that, you know, by the time you're on turn 7 and you're casting Cruel Reality, they're going to have plenty of creatures to sacrifice to where you could often just die because you cast that, because it doesn't have any like large immediate impact. It's obviously going to be great against more controlling kind of mid-rangey decks that only have 1 or 2 creatures at a time, but since this is best of 1, I'm just a little concerned about running that in the main deck. So final pack. We've got Feed the Swarm, cheap removal, Woe Strider is kind of a little sacrifice outlet, Veto works well with life gain, Seagate Stormcaller could copy some spells. I think I'm just going with the Feed the Swarm. Karn is always good at drawing stuff. I do like Karn. That might be the pick. There's also Languish, though, a nice Wrath effect. Seems not bad at all. We do have early game creatures that will die to our Wrath effects, but we do have, like, obviously, Godfarrow's Gift and Scarab God itself to try to get them back later. This is a difficult pick. Karn and Languish are both really good. Description of Insight is not bad at all, either. A lot of good stuff here. I think I'm going to roll with the Languish. I think I just want more Wraths. 2 Dimir Duels. Seems really nice. I hope at least one of those will wheel, so I can just take this Bloodchief's Thirst, because that is a really efficient removal spell. I like it a lot. At 1 mana, you can destroy a creature planeswalker at mana cost 2 or less, or for 4 mana, you can just destroy any creature planeswalker. So that one is very nice. I like it better than Eliminate, for sure. Disfigure. Gonna have to cut some cards here. Let's cut the off-color duels right now. This would be 26 non-lands right now. Take a Boon of the Wishgiver. 6 mana, draw 4. Be good in the late game. We don't have a ton going for us in the late game. Just trying to hit one of our few very powerful late game cards. Ooh, Lay Claim is another really strong card for the late game, or there's another removal spell, Never to Return. Destroy a creature planeswalker, and then you can exile a card, get a 2/2 zombie. It's definitely one of these Amonkhet cards. They're quite good. I'll go with the Lay Claim. Just seems a tiny bit more versatile because I can just cycle it in the early game if I don't have the mana for it. And if I do draw it in the late game, it will be very good most of the time. Thought Erasure, another fantastic standard card. Or at least when it was in standard. It's pretty dominating. Icy Manipulator or Brain Maggots. These are both quite nice. Brain Maggot lets us remove one of our opponent's non-land cards until they can kill the Brain Maggot. And Icy Manipulator obviously just keeps tapping stuff down. I guess I'll take Icy Manipulator over the Brain Maggot because I do have... I have Languish and Cry of the Carnarium would both just kill my own Brain Maggot. So the Maggot is a little bit awkward with board wipes. Don't think I'm playing any of these cards. We wield the Karn. No respect for Karn. Alright, well, I will respect him, if no one else will. And we wield one of the Dimir lands. Perfect. And now it's just a bunch of stuff we're not going to play. Sphinx's Revelation. 2 cards left. Does it only take 1 white? I guess it only takes 1 white. We can throw that in here then. I have 2 white-black duels, right? I do. Oops. Could throw it in. It definitely makes my mana base a decent bit more awkward, but it's a very powerful card, so it might be worth it. Yeah. I think I'd rather keep my mana base nice and safe. Okay, so we got 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, I need 2 more lands here. I don't know what's going on. Alright, 14, 15, 17 lands. Okay. So I gotta cut 8 cards. Oh boy. Time for the hard part. Let me see if I can just speed through this, because I have work tonight, so I gotta make sure that this video and this draft does not take too long. So you're gonna be seeing me in rare form making deck building decisions with haste. This very rarely happens. But we're going to do the most important part first, which is to turn the card styles off. God, I wish there was just a button for this. There is a button in the cog that says turn off like alternate styles, but I've done that many times before and it does not do that. It doesn't turn these off. It just turns off like the Godzilla styles and stuff, I think. Okay, 7 cards to cut. Let's go. I don't know how often I'm going to be able to trigger that Vengeful Rebel thing. We didn't end up with a lot of mill. I don't think I'm that controlling that I actually still want the Ashiok. I think I would rather try to take over the game with Scarab God, Godfather's Gift, these big bomby plays. Ooh. Slitherblade's just cute with my return spells, so I think I'll cut that. I don't want to cut any more creatures because I do still have the Godfather's Gift. I need to keep basically all of these in now. So I need to cut 2 non-creature cards at this point. Probably Disfigure, maybe? Because I've got Eliminate, Epic Downfall, Feed the Swarm. I've got other early game removal. Yeah, we'll get rid of Disfigure. Maybe Icy Manipulator, but I don't know. Icy Manipulator is just powerful and limited. This is Cube, though, which is more like Constructed, and Icy Manipulator has not been good in Constructed since its reprinting. Oh, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be good here, though. I love how I preface this by saying this was going to be all of the fast deck building decisions, and it is very slow. It's very, very slow indeed. Maybe I'm actually cutting that lay claim. Roll with this. What do I have in the sideboard? Anything incredibly good that I'm missing out on? I do not think so. Oh, I left Sphinx's Revelation in. Oh, apparently I accidentally put it back in. I don't know how it got in there. I could have sworn I didn't click on it. Alright, we're down to 40 cards. And it's all blue-black, right? No Sphinx's Revelation sitting in here anymore. Alright, I'm rolling with this draft deck here. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Ashiok is still worth it. I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to get Ashiok to mill 20 off my opponent because they do have a ton of removal. So I can definitely protect the Ashiok. I'm rolling with this. This is how it's going. Let's get into these games, see how well this cube draft goes, and I guess more importantly on my end of things, see if I can get all the games out of the way before I gotta head off to that overnight shift. Alright, round 1, here we go. I'm gonna keep it. It is definitely awkward not having any blue mana right now. But I've got Orzhov Enforcer. I have a nice early Languish if my opponent comes out the gate swinging. And they're red-white, so Languish could definitely be good in this matchup. There's a Hallow Blade. They can give that indestructible by discarding a card. So it is definitely nice to have the -X based removal. Because even if you give it indestructible, it's still going to be a -3 toughness creature which will die no matter what. So I can block here. That'll force them to discard a card. I kind of like that. Because my Orzhov Enforcer, even if it dies here without trading, turns into a 1/1 flyer, which I can then block Seasoned Hallowblade with again, so I can get them to discard 2 cards off of the Hallowblade with the Enforcer and the token. And also, obviously, I'm not valuing the Enforcer a whole heck of a lot thanks to the fact that I have a Languish coming up whenever I can draw my 4th land. I did draw my 4th land immediately, so I don't think I want to do it quite yet. I think if they attack with everybody again, I'm probably just going to block Seasoned Hallowblade. Get them to discard another card. I do have a Surprise Shark with Shark Typhoon. I could surprise in a 2/2 Flying Shark, or I can cast Petty Theft to return one of their permanents to their hands if I want. 2/2 Shark is just going to die if I plop it out right now, so I think I'm going to just block the Hallowblade, get him to discard another card, take 3 here, that's not bad at all. With an Embercleave, I'll probably Brazen Borrower that. Throw the Cleave back to their hand and then just Languish this turn, maybe? Yeah, you can put that on there. I'll throw Cleave back into their hand, which will force them to... it'll force them to discard a card if they want Hallowblade to survive this. So hopefully I can get a lot of value out of this interaction here. Because if I can get them to discard another card... Oh, they had to discard an Unbreakable Formation. So I get them to discard another card. Now I can Languish. Sure, I know that they have an Embercleave in their hand coming up, but they've only got 2 other cards, so they're not going to be able to cast that for a while, and knowing that they have an Embercleave in hand, I can definitely play around it better. So I think I'm just going to Languish here. Get these off the board so I don't have to worry about the Cleave anytime soon. And that's just a pass. Wow, that feels good. Alright, drop the Atris, get some value. I don't have any counter spells, so the only thing I'd be holding up at instant speed would be the Shark thing. Okay, so I get 2 lands, or whatever this is. Even if this is 1 land, I'm always just going to take this. Elspeth's Nightmare, alright. I suppose I do need 1 more land for Shark Typhoon. I do need another blue to cast Brazen Borrower as well, but Brazen Borrower is not really going to affect this board that much. I'm not really worried about getting aggro right now. I would like to have the Shark Typhoon out, though. So Hazoret could hit me for a lot here. Just kind of scary, but I think I still just slam down Shark Typhoon. That way next turn I Epic Downfall and get a Shark. Yeah, I think we're just using Shark Typhoon as the win con this game. I don't think I'm very likely to get hit by Hazoret here, but it could happen. Alright, just Tajik. Okay, so we've drawn a Karn as well, so I get to play Karn and Epic Downfall and just get a 4/4 Shark and a 2/2 Shark? Don't mind if I do. That's going to be really hard for our opponent to swing through once I get rid of Hazoret. Which means Karn's very likely to survive. Now I've got God Pharaoh's Gift with multiple creatures in grave. I've got Orzhov Enforcer and Atris Oracle of whatever. So we're in a really good spot. Throw that out tapped. Now I've got my 2nd blue. Epic Downfall, the Hazoret. We are solidly winning this game. I do not see how this could turn around. Bomat Courier it is. Whenever that attacks, they get to exile the top card of their library, and then at any point they can pay a red, sacrifice it, and discard their hand to throw all the exiled cards into their hand instead. So let's pick up that Godpharaoh's Gift and just go ham. Just go absolutely ham here. We're going to get a 7/7 Shark. Might as well. Plop out another Atris and draw more cards. Yeah, that's the concession. We're attacking for 6 in the sky. We've got a 7/7 blocker, and we're going to have a 4/4 Menace Atris. We'd probably leave that back to block as well, just in case. That would also draw us another 1 or 2 cards. So, pretty phenomenal comeback after that Languish. I mean, we weren't ever really under an insane amount of pressure. I suppose we would have been if we didn't have any way to interact with that Embercleave there. But that was really nice, plopping it back to their hand, getting it stranded in there with the Languish, and getting the multiple discards off of the Seasoned Tallowblade for extra value there. It's a pretty great showing from the Dimir mid-range deck. So we're going to go first. Once again, no blue. Maybe I need to double check my mana base, but I'm pretty sure I had like equal amounts of blue and black in the mana base. Pretty sure it was like a 7/7 split. I think I'm going to keep this again. I've got a Skelly Man, an early game removal spell, and if I draw any 2 lands, I'll have an Icy Manipulator. Obviously, ideally, I just hit an island and then I can cast everything, except obviously the flying part of Brazen Borrower, but at least I get to do Petty Theft with just 1 blue source. Opponent starts off with a Kazandu Mammoth, played as a Kazandu Valley, and we did immediately draw the blue source, which is really nice. Now I just get to Thought Erasure and see exactly what my opponent is playing. They are on Gruul, and they've got some scary stuff. So Tybalt's just going to make little 1/1s that shoot things when they die. That's probably fine. I don't have any life gain for that to shut off. I kind of think I want to hit Hellrider, because if they Tybalt into Hellrider, then all of those 1/1s start hitting for 2, because every time one of their creatures attacks, they hit me for another damage as well. And the Elder Gargaroth is slow. It doesn't have haste or anything, so it's going to come out. It doesn't get any extra value till it attacks or blocks. So I can wait on that one and just kill it when it comes out with something like Feed the Swarm, or just keep it tapped with Icy Manipulator. So I think Hellrider is the biggest threat right now. So Elspeth's Nightmare would hit a Tybalt token. Then it'll exile their grave. Choose a non-creature, non-land card. I guess I get to hit their Thundering Rebuke as well with that, so that seems fine. Get them to discard that. They drop the Rimrock Knight. Think I'm just gonna play a skeleton here. Now they can't attack him with the Rimrock Knight this turn. Uh-oh. Brushfire Elemental with Landfall. Alright, well, easily gonna trade with the Knight, and then I'll Elspeth's Nightmare the Brushfire Elemental, so that definitely gave me a better target for the Elspeth's Nightmare by far. Could have Thoughtseized there, got rid of the Gargaroth that way, but they're still 2 mana off from playing it, so I don't need to do that. Now I get to Elspeth's Nightmare, they probably cast Tybalt here, and then I get rid of Thundering whatever. Thundering Rebuke. Thundering Rebuke, Mountain, Elder Gargaroth. Alright, this is going to be great then. I can just make them have no cards in hand, because I just Thoughtseize Gargaroth. Yeah, this is the only time that I know I'm going to be able to Thoughtseize something, because if they just draw another land, they go land Gargaroth, and then anything they top deck for the rest of the game, they're just going to immediately play. So yeah, just get rid of Gargaroth. I do get to Brazen Borrower away a Devil, I guess. I'm also exiling their grave, which is nice. Alright, Fanatical Firebrand. 1/1, they can sacrifice it to do damage to any target. I'm gonna feel real sad if I die to all these little 1/1 things. Languish? Do they have enough to put another 1/1 out with this? No, it's got 1 loyalty. Do I want to languish their 2 things? I think I do. I think I just languish those 2. And then I have Feed the Swarm for whatever they play here. As long as they don't play like 1 card that comes with multiple creatures. If they play Hornet Queen, I'm in a really bad position, and it's gonna feel awful that I languished. But basically anything else, I think I'm good. If they just play like 1 big, large green creature, I've got several ways to deal with that. And now we're gonna start swinging in with our Skeleton and our Brazen Borrower. Try to crack back here. Have an Icy Manipulator up on the defense, or even just the Labyrinth. I could just hold that up and pretend I have counter spells as well. Spikefield Hazard. Exile my Borrower. Now I'm hitting them for 1 a turn. Rude. Alright. Let's hold an Icy Manipulator up. I don't think that they're going to have any Proliferate, so I think I'd rather just hit them for 1 than Tibalt. I'm pretty certain I don't have any ways to gain life in this deck. Oh, I do. Okay, I guess I'm hitting Tibalt this turn. The second I said that, I draw my, like, 1 way to gain life. Let's gain a tiny bit of life. Keep sending in. Paradise Druid. That has hexproof, but it'll die to anything that it blocks. So that is fine. Oh, Karn, you're a great draw. Karn, I love you. Give me all the value. Draw multiple cards a turn, so I'm going to hit a Swamp here. Then I can, next turn, -1 into Bloodchief's Thirst if I want it. Pretty good. Send in Gary. We'll leave Skeleton back to make sure that Karn can keep all his counters. Opponent's drawn into something here, they're thinking. Siren Stormtamer? Not bad, it's some extra defense. I'm gonna +1 here. Their only creature has hexproof, so I don't need that removal spell immediately. Crawling Barrens in a swamp, so I'm getting a swamp. Crawling Barrens would be a great draw right now. Alright, so I get to drop Siren Stormtamer, and I get to leave up the mana for Labyrinth of Skophos, so I can actually use that on Paradise Druid if Paradise Druid chooses to attack, so I will attack with a Skeleton this turn. And then I will, if they send in with Druid, I can block with Stormtamer and then remove Druid from combat, so my Stormtamer doesn't even take damage. Rada, Heart of Keld. So they get to play lands from the top card of their library, and for 6 mana that gets +1,000,000/+1,000,000. So I'm going to need to Ice Manipulator that down all the time, or I can feed it to the Swarm. I'll just Ice Manipulator that right now, so it can't block. So do I want to get Crawling Barrens or Bloodchief's Thirst here? I do have 8 mana if I play the Swamp, so I guess I'll take Bloodchief's Thirst and just get rid of Rada. Then I still have enough mana for the Labyrinth. Labyrinth and Ice Manipulator are my only instant speed plays, so I'm attacking with everybody here. And I only need to use the Labyrinth if they're going to present lethal to Karn. I think if they attack Karn for 2 and just don't cast anything, I just allow it. Like, that's fine. I'm not using his minus ability, his -2 or anything, so 4 loyalty's plenty.
My retribution will be swift.
Alright. Atris. Sure. I guess I'll use Karn first.
I'll make use of that later.
Oh, Godfar's Gift. I'm definitely going to pick that up. I actually don't have any creatures in my grave right now, though. That's hilarious. Alright, here's Atris. Draw more cards. Just absolutely drown in the value. Our opponent gets to play their nice little sub game here, separate him into a face down and face up pile. So I get an epic downfall or I get a basic land. If my opponent's getting me here. Let's see. Oh my god, Scarab God. Woo! I guess I super win. I've got a lot of really good value cards in this deck. It's pretty insane. Just swinging with everybody. They're at 3. Yeah, I'm just gonna slam down Scarab God. I get to hold up the Icy Manipulator and do that. Jesus. Ooh, they're gonna double shoot the Scarab God to get it killed. Get it exiled instead of going to the grave so it doesn't come back either. Well, they are. I like the play. Send a message. Get that Scarab God out of there. Now we attack with everybody. That is round 2. The Dimir deck is absolutely kicking butt and taking names right now. Definitely winning in a pretty classic control deck kind of way, of just eliminating all your opponent's threats, and then once you get into the top deck war, more of your cards draw cards than your opponent's decks. Just winning through all that card advantage, all that good value, all those kind of plays. Pretty nice. I am really concerned about playing against a better control player. Or just one of those like Simic value kind of piles that everything in the deck just says draw a card on it. It's just slapped on everything. Alright, so this hand's decent mana-wise. We've got Thoughtseize into Nightmare. We don't have the double black for Grey Merchant, but we've got 4 mana. We just need 1 swamp for that. So let's Thoughtseize, see what our opponent's playing here. Black-white. Looks like an Aristocrats kind of deck where they're getting tokens with stuff like start to finish and then having ways to sacrifice them for value like finish, sacrifice a creature, destroy a creature, and Village Rites, sack a creature, draw 2 cards. Interesting. Most of their stuff comes back from the grave too. They only have 2 mana right now, so I guess I can get rid of Birth of Meletis and hope that they don't draw a 3rd land for the Surveyor, I guess. Start to finish also costs 3, so yeah, I guess I'll hit the Birth. Because that's a 0/4 that gets a basic land and gains 2 life. Skittering Surveyor is just a 1/2. And start to finish is like, gets value in the grave. Alright, Elspeth's Nightmare is going to be really nice against this deck. Get to exile their graveyard. Could be some good stuff. So I guess here I'm going to Elspeth's Night. Oh, no! Oh, top deck the Thoughtseize. Reverse Thoughtseized. That's rude. That's really rude. Elspeth's Nightmare was going to be so good there, because I would have been able to kill Dread Wanderer on the first half, and then the second part, make them discard start to finish, and then they would still have too many cards in hand to bring back Dread Wanderer. They'd have no creatures to target to use finish, so then I'd get to hit the 3rd form and just exile their graveyard before they even get to cast any of those. So that would have been so good. And it's very sad that it didn't happen. But I guess I'm just going to be taking 2 for a couple turns, and then my Crawling Barrens will be too big. Is Finish an instant? Finish is a sorcery. Good. Alright, I'm taking 4. It might have been worth eliminating Dread Wanderer last turn to slow them down a little bit, but my Crawling Barrens is going to be a 4/4 next turn. Or I could just draw Languish. Village Rites is an instant, isn't it? I play Languish, they just draw 2. Another black source would have been ideal here, because a 2/4 is pretty good at blocking their stuff, but then I guess they get to just cast Finish. And destroy my Grey Merchant that way. So I'm either languishing or I'm just going to block. I think I'll just block. And then maybe they'll cast Finish in main phase 2 on my Crawling Barons. But now I get to kill Dreadwander and one of their 1/1s. If they do that. If they have an instant speed removal spell, that sucks. Oh, that's actually totally fine. We're still going to trade at least with Dreadwander. Not bad. Reassembling Skeleton. If I play that, I'm not doing anything else. It's a 1/1, so it blocks pretty well against a bunch of 1/1s. That seems fine. If they want to throw any kind of removal at this, that's just straight value because I can keep bringing it back. Unfortunately, I do want a lot more black mana this game. Yeah, the mana's been pretty rough. Would have been nice to have some more dual lands in this deck. I probably should have prioritized those a little more highly, but I'm pretty sure our mana's an even split between blue and black in terms of our lands. It's just been awkward draws in the games because obviously this game I've got too much blue. In the first 2 games I had too much black. It just happens. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright. Oh, that whole time that I was arguing whether or not I should Languish, I didn't even have the double black for it. So I guess I get to die because I can't even cast Languish. So I Reassembling Skeleton or I eliminated instant speed. Both of those are instant speed abilities, so I guess I'm just passing for now. I don't want to die. Don't do this to me, opponent. Don't kill me off the single black. I guess I'm just going to take 2 here. Getting really low. Perilous Mirror is actually terrifying right now. When it dies, it does 2 damage. That's too much damage. That's a lot of damage. Atris, give me a swamp, please, my friend. Please, my friend. Oh, this Perilous Mirror is going to be no fun. No fun whatsoever. I get a Thought Erasure and an Island, or I get whatever this is. I don't even get a Swamp out of these 3? Oh! Oh my god. I guess I just lose. Now they get to cast Finish, sacrificing Perilous Mirror to kill both of my blockers. Oh, or they could use Village Rites to draw some more cards and kill one of my blockers for now. Oh no. Oh, they drew into an instant speed removal spell, so both my blockers are indeed gone. And there's Elspeth. That's immediate lethal. That's +4 power. Yep, 2 creatures get +2/+1 till end of turn. So that is game. That was a rough one. That was a really rough one, but the draws just did not line up well. I think with the power level of the cards that we started drawing into Atris, into Karn, if we had just gotten our second black sooner, we could have definitely tried to turn that game around with Grey Merchant to be a nice, sturdy 2/4 blocker. They probably would have just cast Finish on it, but it still would have gained life and slowed them down by making them sacrifice one of their little attacking creatures. I think we definitely stood a chance without the unfortunate amount of islands that game. And I suppose I should take a second look at the deck list. Make sure that we're doing the best we can in terms of our mana base. Yep, that is an exact even split between blue and black. Crawling Barrens and Labyrinth of Scophos. It's a little rough to have 2 colorless cards in here, but we do have a lot of cards that require doubles. We got double blue on Dungeon Geist's Brazen Borrower, double black on Cry, Languish Murderous Rider. I probably actually want to cut an island or 2, throw in another swamp. Definitely got more black. So we go like 8-6. I don't want to cut too many islands because I definitely want double blue on Dungeon Geists. I guess Brazen Borrow we can afford to not hit double blue for a while. I can cut another island here. Yeah. There we go. That is definitely a much better mana base. We had way too many islands for how little blue is actually in the deck. That being said, though, it is really weird we drew as many black sources as we did in the first 2 games then. Unless I'm misremembering things and we had the opposite thing happen, where we just drew too many blue sources every game. That would make the most sense with how our mana base was split up. Alright. This is pretty much the perfect hand mana-wise. Got the blue that we need and a bunch of black. I will keep it. Not gonna Thoughtseize turn 1 though, because I'll probably Fetid Pools. Well, actually, I don't have a turn 2 play, so why not Thoughtseize turn 1? Play the pools on turn 2. Negate, Disallow, and Hieroglyphic Illumination. Green-blue counterspells the deck. That's no fun at all. That is absolutely 0 fun. I guess I'll hit Disallow. That's the most annoying counterspell. Oh, what a no fun deck. Alright. Throw Fetid Pools down. I say that, but I'm playing Dimir somewhat control myself. I will pass. I guess at least Shark Typhoon, if we cycle that can't be countered. Now that we've gotten rid of their spell that can counter abilities. Do I want to put out a 1/1 Shark? I don't think I do. So we've got enough mana to play Atris, but it probably just gets countered. They've got 2 other cards in hand now. If they Frilled Mystic me, that'll be the most sad thing I could think of. Oh... I kind of want to just Shark Typhoon at the end of their turn now. Get at least a 2/2 flyer out of it and draw another card. Maybe just drop Gary the turn after this. Love that Shark Typhoon just can't be countered, the little cycling half. Unless they have another Disallow kind of effect. Okay. The Shark is out. It's on the board. It has been borrowed. Alright. Well... they've brazenly borrowed my Shark. What is going to be the weakest card that I could cast right now? Probably Gary. Let's just drop Gary. I think the problem with Gary, though, is that he's so weak on this board state that they're almost definitely just going to play Brazen Borrower. I don't think Gary even draws a counterspell here, unfortunately. Probably should have tried to cast, like, Icy Manipulator. I feel like they might have countered that. At least they're thinking on it. They're considering it. Yeah, I think they're probably just going to play Brazen Borrower, but I would love it if they countered Gary. So I can actually resolve spells later, possibly. Well, they've used a timeout on it as well. They may be AFK. Their house may have caught fire when they were microwaving their Hot Pockets or something. Oh, they're back. They're back. They're looking at their hand. They're dropping Brazen Borrower. That is the decision. And here's Gary, draining for a couple life and chilling with his nice 2/4 bod. We're taking 3 in the skies, down to 17. And nothing else from our opponent. They're just going to hold up counterspells all game for the rest of their life, for the rest of eternity. I have 6 mana, so I can't double spell here. I guess I can eliminate and play a 4 mana spell. So I can try to eliminate their Brazen Borrower, or I can try to just drop Ice Manipulator. Let's attack with Gary before anything else, so maybe they have some kind of flash blocker. Nope. Just try to eliminate Brazen Borrower. Okay, that 100% resolves. Let's see if Icy Manipulator resolves. It does. Stop letting my spells resolve. I just want Atris to resolve. That's the only thing I want to resolve. And they're holding up the counter for it all day long. Just tap out for a Hydroid Crisis. Please. Oh no, they have Wilts? Ah, disgusting. I just got naturalized. Ugh. It is a naturalized with cycling though, so it's 100% viable main deck. Alright, well, if this is what it's come to, this is what it's come to. Go ahead and counter my Atris. I'll just play a Karn instead. That's how it's gonna be, that's how it's gonna be. Disgusting. Disgusting. Alright, you got 5 cards in hand still. This is what I was, these green-blue decks. Don't you just sit there with full mana. What is this? Stop it. Stop dying to a 2/4 Gary. Play something. Don't just counter my stuff. Play your own stuff, please. Here's a search for his counter. What about that? Torrential Gearhulk, copy their counterspell and play it again. If I play Karn, if they don't have a way to pump Gearhulk, Karn will survive. But if they do, Karn will die. I think... Do I want to just Murderous Rider their Gearhulk, or do I want to drop Karn right now? 4 cards in hand. Oh my god. If I Karn and I +1, Karn's gonna go to 1 if they attack with Gearhulk. But it's just some poop. I guess I'm gonna shoot Gearhulk right now. Alright. Will they finally cast things during their own turn? They do! Oh, and they cast 2 things. I get to Languish. And I get to Karn. I actually don't have enough mana to do both of those, but oh, I wish I did. I'm definitely going to Languish Talrand in the future. I suppose there is the problem where if I don't Languish Talrand right now, they could have a counter in hand, in which case Talrand is going to absolutely destroy my soul. I do have enough mana to Languish and cast Murderous Rider, so I guess I'm going to Languish this turn. I don't know, this is a really tough decision. If they just have Negate in hand, Talrand will completely take over this game and destroy me. Because then I'll try to cast Languish next turn, it'll just get countered and they'll have even more Drakes. However, if they just have more creatures that have 4 or less toughness in their hand, Languish is going to be way better next turn. I'm just going to do it right now. I do not know how I feel about this. I certainly hope that was the correct choice. We will find out now. Growth Spiral. Not a creature. If they don't play any creatures here, then I'm confident I made the right choice. Ice Manipulator. Okay. I am fine with the Languish play. Ooh, Crawling Baron's coming up too. Let's see if they do have... Why would you... Don't tap the Barons. I guess I don't have the mana to attack with the Barons anyway, or to block with it, since it doesn't have haste. Let's see if their last card is a counterspell. They've got 3 mana ups. They have enough to cast basically any counterspell. It was not a counter anyway. Alright. Let's draw some cards. Try to take over this game with Karn again, as we do. God Pharaoh's Gift in exile with 1, 2, 2 creatures in grave? I think we're going to get that back next turn. I think we're absolutely going to get that back next turn. So I get to cast an Orzhov Enforcer to block with, or I get to throw a couple counters on Crawling Barrens. I think I'd rather throw Enforcer on this board, because we're not going to be attacking with Barrens next turn. We're not going to have the mana to cast Godfarrow's Gift and pump the Barrens. Plus, getting Enforcer out means it's more likely to trade sooner, more likely to be able to come back as a 4/4 with Godfarrow's Gift. They have scryed 2 cards to the bottom with Castle Vantress. They are digging. They are scared. They know Godfarrow's Gift is coming. There's a Llanowar Visionary, nice 2/2 blocker. That also draws a card. Alright, only 1 mana up. Godfarrow's Gift should be safe. 19 cards in our library, so we don't have to worry about leaving... we don't have to worry about milling ourselves anytime soon. So let's hit Atris first. Atris has Menace, so it's definitely going to hit for 4. They can't chump block it, and I get to draw more cards here. And then next turn I'll have even more black mana symbols on the board. Oh yeah, I guess they have Icy Manipulator. I'm a derp. But yeah, next turn I'll have even more black mana symbols on board for Grey Merchant of Asphodel to really get our opponent. So any ones that I don't take go into my graveyard, so throwing Dungeon Geists in the graveyard is actually just better here. It's another card for Godfarrow's Gift. Lets me have more mana up for whatever else. And oh my god, it's the Scarab God anyway. Brutal. Brutal. And we're 100% okay trading the Enforcer as well. Once again, gives us more creatures in grave for Godfarrow's Gift. Alright, they choose not to block then. Just chaining together our value cards again. Karn into Godfarrow's Gift yet again, into Scarab God for probably the concession again. Lay claim on Godfarrow's Gift. That's a play. That's definitely a plan. Fortunately, it's not going to be enough unless they have a really good instant to play right now. Because now I'm just going to Scarab God into Grey Merchant. That should be lethal, I'm hoping. They do have 2 mana, though. So if they have Essence Scatter... and they have drawn 2 more cards to try to draw into it. They do have lethal on Karn if they send both at Karn, but then they don't have blockers, which means they're very likely to die even just on board. Alright, just send 1 at Karn, make sure I can't minus without Karn dying. Now they have 3 mana up. We'll just Reclamation, now they have all their mana up. If they have a counterspell, they have a counterspell. And they definitely have a chance. Because they can Icy Manipulator my 4/4 and then use counterspells and stuff, so... Alright. If they have a counterspell, they're good. If they don't have a counterspell right now, though, I get to bring back Grey Merchant. Get to bring back our friend Gary. And that should be game on the spot. They do have a counterspell, but it just puts it back into my library. What's in my exile right now with Karn? That's not exiled with Karn, so I guess I just plus Karn. They give me Scarab God or something else. Reassembling Skeleton. Okay, so I get Reassembling Skeleton. Now if I want to replay Scarab God, I need to make sure to protect Karn. I can cast Elspeth's Nightmare right now, kill one of their blockers, and then I hit for 3... Godfarrow's Gift is going to be a problem. I probably should have just not used Karn then. That might have been a punt. Because Because if I didn't use Karn that I know I'm going to draw into Scarab God in a couple turns, and then I can Scarab God into Grey Merchant. Oh. Actually, I can't even do that because they can just cast Memory. They can cast Memory and just shuffle all of our graveyards back into our libraries anyway. They'll do that after their Godpharaoh's Gift triggers. That's really bad. And then they're going to untap with Wilderness Reclamation. So any counterspells that they've drawn there are just going back to their hand. Oh, good lord. This is really bad. Do I just attack with everybody here then? Hit them for 3? Down to 4 life. Then I just accept... I think I kind of have to just accept that Karn is dead. Because they can bring back Brazen Borrower. Yeah, Brazen Borrower's got flying, so Karn's just dead. They can bring back Brazen Borrower as a 4/4 flying zombie with haste, so... we just attack with everybody anyway. No, Memory's going to be massive here. This lay claim on the Godpharaoh's Gift, like, jeez. That's absolutely massive. Move to combat, bring back a card. They bring back Talrand. Not cool at all. Slendy Vision draws them another instant or sorcery from the top 6. They're going to censor it too, just to get another Drake, I guess. Make sure they have a lot of blockers at the ready. They reveal Athos' Intervention, which is going to be counter unless I pay 1,000,000 mana. I mean, I guess I just make them discard it though when my Saga triggers. So they'll use the other ability to try to draw a card, I guess. Yep, so they respond with this by trying to draw a creature out of this, I guess. Look at the top X, put one in hand, the rest on bottom. Yep, so they get another Drake, so they've got a lot of blockers. Without another Drake here, I actually had a pretty good attack, because with Crawling Barrens as a 2/2, I've got 4 creatures, one of which has Menace, and they're only at 4 life, so pushing through for damage could be good there, but they obviously just got another Drake. Now they've got an Incubation Druid and a Temple of Mystery in hand, so I can't get rid of either of those. And an island is 100% not the draw I need right now. An attack is not good now. If I attack with everybody, including Crawling Barrens, they... well, first of all, they Icy Manipulator my Menace creature anyway, so... disregard everything I said about an attack, because my Menace creature can't attack anyway, so... just playing a Skeleton and passing turn. Our opponent gets another card back with Godpharaoh's Gift, and then they get to play a Druid. They get to cast Memory, shuffling our graveyards back into our libraries, drawing 7, and then untapping all of their lands with probably a fresh grip of counters with Talrand on the board. This was incredibly bad beats this game. That lay claim was absurd. Definitely not the most fun to lose to a Godpharaoh's Gift. And it's exceptionally brutal to lose to your own Godpharaoh's Gift. They're not casting memory? Okay. But I guess they just don't need it. That's true, they could just win regardless. I guess now I get to exile their graveyard, including memory. So at least there's that. Memory is sorcery speed. But I am dead to flying attacks next turn. What are you doing with this mana at instant speed? Oh yeah, scrying. I was like, oh dear, is this Nexus of Fate? Wilderness Reclamation Nexus of Fate? The standard deck? Brazen Borrower. Well, I yet again get to find out if they have a counterspell. They've got one card in hand. This is my only chance. One card in hand. Do you have a counterspell? Is there one card in hand to counterspell? Moment of truth. If it's not, I win. If it's not, this is like the only draw in my deck I could have won with. Oh my god. I could have also just bounced Lay Claim. That would have played around something that counters it unless I pay like 2. This is just... Oh my god! I thought for sure I lost that game. Jesus. Oh. Oh my god. That was the only draw. That was the only draw that was ever going to get me out of that. And I totally forgot that was even an option. I was like, I just don't have anything to kill an enchantment. I can't get rid of Lay Claim. I'm blue-black. I have nothing to get rid of Lay Claim or Godpharaoh's Gift. Oh, good lord. Yeah, I probably should have just bounced Lay Claim because I was dead on board to flyers anyway. So, like, who cares if they could recast it next turn? I either kill them that turn or die. So I probably should have bounced Lay Claim instead, just in case they had something that was like counter unless your opponent pays 3 or more. Because I had 2 extra mana, I think, when I cast it. So I had enough mana to play around Censor. Alright, well, not much I can do when this happens. As you've seen, I changed my mana base and made sure I had a decent bit more black mana than blue mana, but it does not matter. Things like this will still happen. I'm just going to keep drawing more islands and swamps. I'll keep this one, I guess. I definitely need more black. I'd like another one for the Cry of the Carnarium. I need a 4th mana for Atris, I think? I don't know if I'm going to get rid of Cry of the Carnarium, Bloodsheep's Thirst, or Epic Downfall. I don't really want to get rid of a land. I do really want to hit Atris. I guess I can get rid of a land and I still have Thirst and Downfall up. Cry is just so good against the really aggressive decks. Suppose not great against anything else. And I do need to draw specifically another swamp for it. Hope I'm not against White Weenie or Mono Red or anything like that. Oh, they've got the Lightning Bolt sleeves. I should have looked at the sleeves. Oh, there's a Plains. And I did draw the swamp for it. This will feel really bad if my opponent is an aggressive white deck with a lot of the 3/1s that can get indestructible. Afterlife creatures as well. It's great to hit those with Cry of the Carnarium since it exiles them instead of killing them. Woe Strider. Oh, Cry of the Carnarium would have been very good here. That is a shame. That is a shame. They could have scryed 2, though, at least. They sacrificed those and scry 2. I guess they scry 3 because they sacrificed the spirit as well. Sure, I'll take 1. We're just going to drop Atris this turn. I'm just going to be sad all game now that I didn't keep Cry of the Carnarium. That's okay. I made it to Atris. I made it to my best friend, my human advisor buddy. Dungeon Geists and a land or a face down card. Dungeon Geists doesn't even seem that great against their deck. They're definitely some kind of aristocrat sacrifice style strategy with a creature that spits a creature out when it dies and another creature that's a sacrifice outlet on its own. So I don't think Dungeon Geist is that good here. So like if I get got here and this is just another land, then cool. But I don't think there's a huge downside to taking this pile because Dungeon Geist is not that great right here. Icy Manipulator. Sure, I think that's fair. I don't think Icy Manipulator is going to be that great either, but it's not the right real matchup for those cards we saw on top, so at least we get them out of the way. Gauntzy, Lord of Luxury. Oh, I hope they hit pretty much the same cards I hit out of my top 4. I'm just gonna poop everywhere if they cast God Pharaoh's Gift. It's not gonna be fun. I suppose I can Brazen Borrower whatever they play though. That's actually pretty sweet. We're definitely leaving Borrower for that then. Do I trade here and then they can escape if they have 4 other cards in their grave? I think I trade here. They've got no other cards in grave right now, so it's going to be a while. Yeah, that seems fine. It will be a while before they're doing that. They're going to go ahead and get their scry out of the goat. Five mana, Icy Manipulator up. I think we just dropped the Manipulator. Obviously want to save Brazen Borrower for whenever they cast my spell. I don't really want to remove the 1-2 or the 2-3. Going to combat, we'll tap Gauntzy, I guess. Take 1. Definitely got time with an Icy on our side. It was just Thought Erasure, so I couldn't even Brazen Borrower it. So that's whatever. So apparently they did hit just a pretty average pile of cards as well. Let's see. Siren Storm Tamer is the draw. Maze Mind Tome's gonna be really good here. Our opponent is definitely going to end up with more value than us. As things are going so far. Not in the best spot here. Opponent already has more cards in hand than us, and they're going to draw an extra card for the next 4 turns? Yep. We're going to need to draw very well here. Not under a ton of pressure on board, it's just the card advantage swinging over in their favor. Pretty heavily. Massacre Worm. Get rid of my Siren Storm Tamer, I guess. Sure. So we'll take one. Then we're definitely going to kill Massacre Worm if I don't draw on anything. Feed the Swarm could kill Massacre Worm at the price of quite a bit of life. I think I want to Blood Chief's Thirst the Massacre Worm and save Epic Downfall for if they escape the Woe Strider, because that'll exile it and they won't be able to escape it again later. I suppose this is awkward if they end up playing a Planeswalker, since the Epic Downfall cannot hit Planeswalkers. Can't hit stuff that costs less than 3 also, but I can't see them playing something that costs 1 or 2. That's going to really threaten me in the future. I suppose they could like throw a Demonic Embrace onto their Orzhov Enforcer or something. And then that would feel bad. But I've got Feed the Swarm now. Off the top. For killing any small creatures. Pelakka Predation. That is not going to get rid of anything. All my stuff costs only 2 now. It's definitely better than just playing that as a land, though. At least they got the foresight of knowing what's in my hand. So both their creatures have Death Touch, which kind of sucks for my friend the Crawling Barrens. I doubt Crawling Barrens is gonna block and trade anytime soon, because I think I can sit here and just take 1 a turn for a while. That way, if they ever play something that doesn't have Death Touch, I'll have a big enough blocker for it. Alseid of Life's Bounty. That can save one of their cards from a removal spell. For 1 mana, give it protection from whatever color. Can't protect things from an Icy Manipulator, though, thanks to the colorless nature of that. Again, I don't see a real point in trading my Crawling Barrens for the Orzhov Enforcer right now, because Orzhov Enforcer will just turn into a 1/1 flyer, so it's going to keep hitting me for 1 damage a turn anyway, unless I spend 2 cards on it, unless I Trump block with Crawling Barrens and cast Feed the Swarm on the token. No, Feed the Swarm is going to be really nice against the Stonecoil Serpent. I will destroy that and take 0. Protection from multicolored? Yep, so Feed the Swarm works. We've got a Karn coming up. Is Karn going to survive? We play Karn, we can Gonti, or tap Gonti with Ice Manipulator, and they have 2 power to attack Karn with. Yeah, we're safe. So we play Karn. That 2 mana up is to Feed the Swarm, the Stonecoil Serpent. They don't have a mana up to sacrifice Alseid to protect Stonecoil, so Stonecoil will die. So yeah, let's play Karn. I've got enough for that, Feed the Swarm, and Icy. That is a huge draw. What are you going to show me, Karn? What do we got? Top 2. Eliminates and Reassembling Skeleton. Neither of those super matter right now. They give us the Reassembling Skeleton. So I'm not going to cast that right now. We'll Feed the Swarm. Hold up the Icy Manipulator. And pass the turn. 3 cards in hand with Woe Strider in graveyard with 4 cards in grave. So as soon as 1 more card hits their graveyard, they can escape that Woe Strider. Oh, I missed my Icy Manipulator. It's not the end of the world. I mean, if they attack Karn with everybody, I guess maybe I can crack back with Crawling Barrens if I want. This is only the end of the world if they have a +2/+2 pump spell.
I do not feel pain.
I've got ways to protect Karn otherwise. Lyra, Dawnbringer. Well, we are gonna kill that with something. Alright. Let's not miss any Icy Manipulator triggers in the future. I suppose they do have the extra mana to sacrifice Alseid to protect Lyra, so we're going to need 2 ways to kill Lyra. I don't have 2 ways to kill Lyra, but now I have a Labyrinth of Scophos. So I can tap something and remove something from combat if I have enough mana up, but I need 4 mana for this, 1 mana for Icy, so I have 2 mana up here. So I just Epic Downfall on Lyra, that'll kill Alseid of Life's Bounty. I've got Eliminate there. Eliminate's not really gonna help. Let's see what's in our top 2. Karn's probably dead. Oh, Shark Typhoon and the land. Karn's almost definitely dead now. They're gonna do everything they can to kill Karn. So if I try to Epic Downfall Lyra, I get to kill that Alseid, then I'll play a Reassembling Skeleton, and I'll tap down Lyra next turn. So I tap down Lyra, I block Gonti with a 1/1, and so just Enforcer hits Karn, so Karn should live. Black and 1. Let's get rid of the Alseid. Okay, so we've gotten rid of the Alseid. And now we will play our Reassembling Skeleton. I suppose if I do this, I don't get to use Crawling Barrens as a blocker, but that's fine. Because all their stuff has Death Touch anyway. So we play the Skeleton, and now we have enough mana to Icy Manipulate or something and cycle the Fetid Pools. I've unfortunately already played a land this turn, so I don't get to play the pools as a land if I want to. If they have a removal spell here, they can use a removal spell to kill Karn, because they can use a removal spell to kill the Reassembling Skeleton, and then I don't have enough blockers to protect Karn. That miss on the Ice Manipulator was pretty rough. Karn would be at 5 now otherwise. In hindsight, it did matter a lot, because they have cast a Lyra now. Which is a huge amount of pressure on Karn. Sending everybody at Karn. Block Gonti with my Reassembling Skeleton, and then I will bring back Reassembling Skeleton in my end step. Not gonna end up cycling the pools. It's definitely better to have a chump blocker right now. What have you got, opponent? 4 cards in hand with the Woe Strider in the graveyard. They do have enough cards to exile to bring it back now. Felidar Retreat. Oh no! Every time they landfall, they can get a 2/2 Cat Beast or give their entire field +1/+1 counter and Vigilance until end of turn. Pretty horrifying. Ooh, Scarab God is really nice. I have 8 mana here. Karn can pick up a Shark Typhoon or an Eliminate. With 8 mana, I can pick up Shark Typhoon and flash out a 6/6 flying Shark, which is not enough to beat Lyra if they get a +1/+1 counter on it. If I pick up Eliminate, I guess 8 mana is enough to play Scarab God, Ice Manipulator, and Eliminate. So I Ice Manipulator down Lyra. Scarab God is a 4/4 blocker for something else. I don't have 9 mana here, so I can't play Scarab God and bring back something from a grave. I can eliminate Orzhov Enforcer to stop that from hitting Karn. If I have 2 ground blockers and I'm ice manipulating the thing in the sky, then Karn's gonna survive this turn. So maybe I just hit the Shark Typhoon anyway. I think I'm gonna do that. We'll put Karn to 1 and just make sure that I have Shark Typhoon no matter what happens here. I'll have a very powerful card ready. I'm actually gonna play this as a land. Drop down Scarab God. I want all the mana in the world because I've got mana sinks now. I've got Scarab God, Ice Manipulator, Reassembling Skeleton, all these different things I want to throw mana at. Ice Manipulator has been putting in a lot of work here. Alright, bring back the Woe Strider. Get a goat. Probably put a counter on everything now. Only 3 creatures that can attack this turn, though. So we are fine. If I block and trade Scarab God for Gonti, Scarab God will go back to my hand in the end step, and then since I played that land, I will have 9 mana next turn, so I can replay Scarab God and use its 4 mana ability next turn. I missed my Ice Manipulator trigger again. Oh my god. I'm so bad at this program. I hate that so much. I hate that so much. Shark Typhoon it is. Goodbye, Shark Typhoon. Okay, they had a removal spell for Scarab God. I guess that'll just go back to my hand anyway. I didn't have a counter spell, which they knew that the whole time, so I'm surprised they didn't just do that pre-combat. They actually, oh my god, missing my Ice Manipulator helped me? If I didn't miss my Ice Manipulator, they could have just like pre-combat shot Scarab God and then attacked with 3 creatures that only have 1 blocker. Karn would just die here, because I'd have 2 blockers total with 3 attacking it. Okay. I mean, I guess, no, they'd only have 2 attacking it, because obviously I would have tapped Lyra. Alright, I'm just a doof. Whatever. Elspeth's Nightmare is a good draw. Sort of. I guess I get to kill Orzhov Enforcer, turn that into a 1/1 flyer. Does that even help, really? What am I bringing back if I'm Scarab Godding something? Scarab God back in Dungeon Geists? Dungeon Geist is a 4/4, keep Lyra tapped. Then I have 3 blockers. I can't minus Karn, or Karn will die. I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana here. I have enough mana to leave Icy up with Scarab God. Okay, let's plus Karn. Karn's probably just going to die this turn anyway. Maybe I should have minused so that I could at least know that I have an Eliminate in hand. But yeah, losing a Thoughtseize here is not the worst. Okay, so drop Scarab God. Gonna Ice Manipulate or something, and we're gonna bring back Dungeon Geists. So I really need to make sure to do that pre-combat. Stop hitting the pre-combat phase. Yeah, that is one of those things that I have issues with, especially on Magic Online for some reason, but on Arena as well, for sure. I'm really, really bad at missing, just like losing track of what step we're in when I click on the OK. Whereas in like a game of Paper Magic, it's like your opponent just says like, I'm going into combat, and you know that for sure. Whereas on Arena, it's just like you're just clicking OK, and you're like, I'm not exactly sure where I'm at right now. You gotta like look at this glowing thing up here. it's really easy to lose track of that, for me personally at least. But it's more of just a personal problem. Great! More removal spells. Well, Karn's almost definitely going to die, but at least I can get a Dungeon Geist out and just leave Lyra tapped until they can kill that. So at least I get to kill that, sort of. I mean, Scarab God does go back to my hand, so... If I can survive for a long game here, being able to just draw all the removal in something that I'm recasting every turn is actually fine. It's like, okay. Let's tap down the Woe Strider. They can kill Karn if they attack it with everybody. Okay, then I get to eat their goat. They don't have Indestructible, right? Yeah, they don't have Indestructible. And Karn's gonna die no matter how I block, so I might as well do that and then just not block anything else. Goodbye, Karn. And we'll just play the Scarab God again, get another creature out of it. Try to win through that sort of value. Definitely getting a lot of mana here is helping a lot, because we had to spend 10 mana here. We had to spend 5 on Scarab God, 4 to return Dungeon Geists, and 1 on Icy Manipulator. Not sure what my opponent's tanking on here. They've got 2 cards in hand. Alright, there we go. Karn is gone. But what can I return with the Scarab God now? I've got Atris and Brazen Borrower. Our opponent has nothing still. I've killed none of their things, or everything that I've killed has been exiled by the escape. So we bring back Scarab God, and we bring back another flyer, I suppose. I guess I can bring back Atris just for value as well. Murderous Rider's pretty great. I can use Scarab God at instant speed, and Scarab God does not bring things back with haste, so I may as well do that. 6 mana up here. I could also cast Elspeth's Nightmare and hold up Murderous Rider, but I have nothing to kill with Elspeth's Nightmare. We'll go ahead and get in with the Dungeon Geists for 4. Because Ice Manipulator on the 7/6 plus bringing something back with Scarab God means I should have decent blocks. I have enough mana now that I'm also probably just going to trade Scarab God for Gonthi, since I can recast Scarab God next turn. I'm feeling good, which is kind of crazy. This game, my opponent's gotten a lot of value, and they've been on the aggressive pretty well for a lot of this, but Karn and Scarab God are both very, very powerful cards that have gotten me a lot of value to get back into this game. 3 cards in hand for our opponent. Oh, this is still... These games are going so long. This is still that game that I didn't keep the Cry of the Carnarium, which is sad. But it's true. I can no longer trade the Scarab God for Gonthi, but I can trade Scarab God and Reassembling Skeleton for Gonthi, which I may do. Alright, going into combat, definitely want to Icy Manipulator the Woe Strider. If I want to bring something back from the grave right now rather than Murderous Rider, what am I bringing back? Bring back Atris, probably. Let's go ahead and do that. Draw some more cards. Anything I don't draw goes into my graveyard, so if it's another creature, I can bring it back with Scarab God. In the future, obviously not with just 1 mana. So Grey Merchant, I can bring Grey Merchant back with Scarab God. Don't know what these other 2 are. So I'll just choose those other 2. That's fine. Even if they're just lands, Scarab God is cheaper to bring back as a 4/4 than to cast as a 2/4. So Grey Merchant of Asphodel is much better in my graveyard than in my hand if they don't exile my Scarab God. So this is just a net win. If I still have a Scarab God out. They're deciding if they want to attack here. No attacks, because they know if they send in, I can trade Scarab God and Skeleton into that Gonti. Oh no, Eugene! Oh no, I don't have my Murderous Rider mana up either, so now they get to exile everything that costs 5 or less. Well, they chose X is 0. I don't know why they chose X is 0. That might have been a misclick. Oh no! Oh, they were gonna wipe the board, but they misclicked. Oh no, they wanted to get rid of my tokens. They thought that my tokens had converted mana cost 0, but they have converted mana cost equal to their regular converted mana cost. So they both had converted mana cost of 4, actually. I don't know if that was a misclick or if they thought that they could exile my tokens there. I think it was a misclick. Yeah, if they had... Either way, whatever it was, if they had X equals 5'd there, that would have hurt. But I think I'm still winning that game, because then all of their field is also exiled. Except for their Maze Mind's Tome and Eugene. And obviously I have the Murderous Rider to kill Eugene, which is very important in that situation. If I did not have Murderous Rider and they exiled everything at 5 or less, I was almost definitely going to lose, but Murderous Rider as the backup was great. So, wow, Scarab God and Karn really turning that game around, especially Scarab God. That was absolutely brutal. They kept throwing removal spells at it as well. Just desperately trying to get me to not have the mana to just keep bringing stuff back from graves. So that was fantastic. 4 games and 1 loss. Scarab God put into work. I need to turn my phone alarm off right now before that blares really loud. So I've got an alarm set to 1 hour before I gotta go to work. Because I work overnights, so there's no telling how long I stay passed out during the day, so... Always gotta have that alarm there just in case I'm still asleep. Again with the heavy blue hands, I don't understand what's going on. We've swapped into, as we've seen before, much more swamps than islands. Not much more, I think we have like 8 swamps, 6 islands, something like that. Maybe 9-5. Either way, we're drawing way more islands than statistically should happen. Alright, I will keep this one. I can cast pretty much everything here. Weird, weird, weird. With Eliminate and Epic Downfall, I can kill basically anything. With their powers combined. Well, I guess we're getting rid of Elspeth's Nightmare. It's the only thing that I'm not 100% guaranteed to cast. Dungeon Geists is the draw. We'll drop down a Siren Stormtamer. Our opponent has started with Fabled Passage, so I'm not 100% sure what they're on. They've got a forest so far, so they're green. And a swamp. We're against some gold garbage. There's a Elysian Caryatid. Let's not play another swamp. Let's play another island. Let's play a swamp so that I can check out their hand. What do you got? Thought Erasure. 5 cards in hand. No! No more blue-green flash nonsense. Okay. They're Sultai, though. They've got a swamp out. So they have Disfigure, Torrential Gearhulk, Cultivate, and Sky Sovereign. Right now, Torrential Gearhulk can't cast anything from their grave. They don't have any instants in hand or coming up. Sky Sovereign's scary, but it is crew 3, so if I can deal with their other creatures, they can just never crew that. So it just comes into play, kills one of my creatures, and then sits there. Cultivate gets them a lot of mana. Disfigure kills my one thing. I think I want to just hit Gearhulk, honestly. I do not want... do not want. Sky Sovereign is annoying too, but... I feel like Gearhulk is going to be worse later. So they don't have much action currently in hand. It all depends on what they draw here. They don't have a way to crew Sky Sovereign currently, so their current plan, I guess, is to ramp and draw into something. So they scryed to the top with the Temple, and then they searched with Cultivate, so I really hope that they actually wanted whatever was on top, and then had to shuffle it away, because obviously you're not going to not cast Cultivate there when you've got the mana to ramp up. Alright. They're definitely at their 5 mana. They can Sky Sovereign, shoot my Storm Tamer, save Disfigure for something else later. I guess just a Paradise Druid for now. More little tiny creatures. Fine with me. No Sky Sovereign yet. I don't really want to play Dungeon Geists on this board when I know that they have Sky Sovereign in hand that does exactly 3 damage. As soon as they play Sky Sovereign, then I'll probably play Dungeon Geists. But as for right now, I would like them to have to blow their Sky Sovereign on a creature that's kind of meaningless, like Siren Storm Tamer. Just like 1 toughness random little thing. There's no way they're going to shoot my Reassembling Skeleton, but I get to have it out as a blocker and keep their mana dorks from doing anything. They're going to go ahead and disfigure my Siren Storm Tamer. Save Sky Sovereign for something else. They do have enough power to crew the Sky Sovereign now, which is threatening. That means Sky Sovereign would get to use its ability every time it attacks. Waker of Waves it is. We're going to Epic Downfall that. Giant 7/7 thing. If I eliminate their Paradise Druid and then exile their Waker of Waves, then they're stuck with a Sky Sovereign in hand with no way to crew it. But then I'm not really capitalizing on that because I'm not going to play Dungeon Geists until Sky Sovereign's already on the board. So yeah, let's not eliminate here. Just Epic Downfall. And pass turn. I feel eventually they're going to have to just play the Sky Sovereign and start attacking with it. We're just waiting for that to happen. This is the karmic game right here. Now I'm going to lose to all the value that Karn can bring.
How convenient. An excellent choice.
You can have a land. Leave that Bone Crusher in exile for now. Oh, this is the Justice game right here. So if I could get Murderous Rider or Bloodchief's Thirst, those are my answers to Karn. A flyer like Dungeon Geist would theoretically help, but Sky Sovereign will just shoot my flyer before it even gets a chance to attack Karn. Scarab God, don't mind if I do. Bring back a Siren Storm Tamer as a 4/4. Bring back their Torrential Gearhulk and recast and eliminate. So I can double eliminate. Alright. Well, we are yet again asking for Scarab God's support. It's just our life now. So I think their best play now is going to be to cast Sky Sovereign to shoot Scarab God, and then Bone Crusher, bring Bone Crusher into their hand from Karn's ability and use that also to shoot Scarab God. But that's throwing 2 things at Scarab God to kill it, in which case it'll just go back to my hand again next turn anyway. So it's not ideal to lose Scarab God, but at least we're making them work for it a lot if they have to do that. Ooh, Scavenging Ooze, what a draw, Jesus Christ. The literal immediate counter to Scarab God. Don't like that. Eliminate's coming in hot then. They've got 3 green up though, they can exile every creature.
Choice.
They can exile their own Gearhulk easily. I don't really want them to Elspeth's Nightmare, so I guess you can have a Fatal Push. Oh, this sucks. So yeah, they've got 3 green up. They can exile my Siren Storm Tamer and their Torrential Gearhulk very easily. Which is not fun at all. I did draw land, so I will have enough mana to bring back their Scavenging Ooze at least after they exile everything when I try to eliminate here. Here you go. I guess unfortunately by giving them Fatal Push, I am triggering Revolt by eliminating their Scavenging Ooze. So they can then cast Fatal Push to destroy a creature that costs 4 or less. But Scarab God costs 5, so that doesn't really change anything. Ooze is already just a 2-power creature. I mainly just didn't want them to have Elspeth's Nightmare for the exiling the graveyard's ability. I would like to be able to keep getting things back. I didn't fully think this through. I probably should have given them Elspeth's Nightmare since it's a sorcery speed removal spell that also only destroys a small creature. Because now I'm going to bring back their Scavenging Ooze and they're just going to kill it with push. Because it only costs 2 CMC. I don't need to bring it back right now, though. I can bring it back later. They don't have a way to kill Scarab God. If I attack, they just have Fatal Push at instant speed. So they'll have to chump block or let Karn take 5, I guess. So that's decent. They're going to chump with the Caryatid. It gives me another creature to bring back, and now I can bring that back before Scavenging Ooze, so I bring back the least important creature first. I think I still want to wait to do that, though. Since it is instant speed. If I bring it back right now, they get to Fatal Push during my turn, and the swamp gets untapped during theirs. So it basically didn't even cost them a mana. Whereas if I do it during their turn, if they want a Fatal Push, they're going to have to save the mana for it. They have a ton of mana, so it's not likely to matter, but they're going to be spending a ton of mana here if they want to kill Scarab God this turn. Sky Sovereign plus Bone Crusher kind of shenanigans. Suppose it depends on what they've drawn as well. What have you got? They're gonna make a token with Karn. Interesting. Little chump blocker. Scholar of the Lost Trove. When it enters the battlefield, you may cast an instant sorcery or artifact from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Disfigure or Cultivate? Those are both fine. They don't have enough mana to play Sky Sovereign, so that'll be fine. They just disfigure like my Reassembling Skeleton, I guess. Sure. Yeah, this is all fine. We're good. Go to my turn. Let's bring back their Caryatid. I don't have any green mana to use Ooze's ability. I guess Caryatid and Scavenging Ooze are both exactly as important. I mean, maybe the Caryatid is actually a little bit better. Ooh, Languish. Kills everything except Scarab God. That seems like something I would like the utility of being able to do. I guess it doesn't kill the Scholar either. So now I think I'm actually going to cast Dungeon Geists, because then they play Sky Sovereign to kill Dungeon Geists, and then I'm just going to bring it back again. So that seems fine. Actually, maybe Languish isn't even that impressive here, because Karn's at 5. If I tap down the Scholar, I can attack Karn with Scarab God and my 4/4, and they have to basically chump both. Yeah, Languish might actually not do much here. Icy Manipulator's pretty nice. If I do that, I have 2 mana up after that. I don't really have enough mana to play around with that either. Do have enough to Dungeon Geists and bring a thing back with Scarab God, so we'll do that. Dungeon Geists, tap down the Scholar for now. Send Scarab God at Karn. Save the Caryatid to tap for mana. To bring back Dungeon Geists when they kill it. Alternatively, I could have attacked Karn with both and seen if I could have gotten those both to chump. Okay, so there's Fatal Push. Cool. We will be instant speed, bringing back the The thingamajigger. The dungeon geists. Sorry if the commentary hasn't been 100% on point today. I was just, you know, I had a little bit of other things on my mind. I've been quite busy lately, obviously. By the fact that I am trying to record this as fast as possible right before work, they have their own Scarab God. Ooh. 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 Alright, well, they only have 3 mana up, so let's just return everything from all of the graves before they have the mana to. How about that? How about that for a plan? Okay, you resolve. Now they're going to use Karn's ability? Please don't hit 2 lands, I swear. I'm just going to give them any non-land here. This is like reverse world Karn plus ability. Oh, they're just going to make another chump. Keep that Karn on the board. Alright, going into combat. Let's tap down. Their Scholar. And then when we go to my turn, I'm going to use my 8 mana to make sure there's nothing in the grave anymore for their Scarab God. Thank you for the Scry, Scarab God. I've got 8 mana, so I've got exactly as much as I need. I'm glad I scried those to the bottom. Yeah, so before they have enough mana, let's just... Boop. Scoos. Suppose I can also just return my skeleton. And I do have Scavenging Ooze mana because the Caryatid can tap for a mana of any color. So now I'm not really attacking well. I'm probably just trying to use the Scarab God's ability to drain my opponent for a lot of life. I don't want to get into one of these weird Scarab God wars where we're both repeatedly targeting the same creature, so I think I'm actually going to return my Reassembling Skeleton right now. I kind of want it back as a zombie so I can have as many zombies as possible to try to drain my opponent's life a lot with Scarab God and scry a lot. So yeah, let's just... My skeleton is a zombie now. Because that's where we're at. And we'll nuke Karn for 4. Just done with those shenanigans. I think I'm in a pretty good position now. There's no creatures in the grave for them to bring back with Scarab God. Their Sky Sovereign's only going to do 3 damage to something. They can't bring back the Bone Crusher anymore to make that 5 damage. All of their stuff exiled with Karn actually is just gone forever. A lot of these exiled cards were exiled through other means, though. Let's see. What's exiled under Karn? Bone Crusher and Elspeth's Nightmare. Alright. Vastwood Surge kicked to get a couple counters on all their creatures. Seems pretty good. Ooh, Grey Merchant. That's another zombie that also drains them some life when it comes into play. These are all great. Okay, they're just gonna scoop them up. Scrying 5 and dealing 5 is a little much. A little much for him. I guess 4. Scarab God is just a god, it's not a zombie itself. Yeah, that was just, we're all in on Scarab God. Just an absolutely ridiculous card in any limited format, including Cube. We're at 5 wins and 1 loss. I'm actually unsure if I'm going to be able to finish this draft before I need to leave, unfortunately. I've got 18 minutes. I've got 18 minutes until I really need to head off, so see what we can do here. Get 2 like really light speed fast wins. Alright, I'm going to keep this. It's got Scarab God in the future. Obviously, we're quite a bit off from playing it, but we've got several ways to try to slow down an aggressive deck, especially if we hit the lands to make it to Languish. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, mono red. Please be mono red and let me draw 2 lands here. Oh, Cry of the Carnarium. Let me just draw a swamp. This hand is potentially fantastic against mono red. no turn 2 plays. Interesting. I want them to curve off. I want them to have the perfect mono red curve. Don't you no turn 2 play me. I'm here to cry and languish. Alright, Beaumont Courier's definitely setting up to draw a lot of cards later this game. Not gonna eliminate it though, it's doing 1 damage a turn. Rampaging Ferocidon. I could eliminate that, or I could... I'll wait till my turn and see. Ooh. This is gonna be rough. I'm gonna take 4 here unless I eliminate that. If I do eliminate... If I don't eliminate it, I could languish, and if I end this game by languishing like 3 of their creatures, that's just a straight up win. I probably want to be just really safe about it, though. I don't know, eliminates instant speed, so I think my best play is probably just to pass to their turn and see if they play some more hasty threats. If they play like a Hellrider, I'm absolutely eliminating. Okay. I think I can afford to take 4, go to 13. You've got a lot of cards under that Beaumont Courier now. Captivating Crew. Oh, how I long for a single land. Beautiful. Beautiful. Never didn't have it. Never didn't have it. And there's a Torbran all alone. Just being sad and lonely. We can even Elspeth's Nightmare him, that's hilarious. Okay, well this game's a win, so we're gonna be at 6 wins. We're gonna be at least at 6 wins before this video ends. I really don't want to have to cut off the draft short, but I may have to. We'll see how fast this actually goes, but this is just a guaranteed win already. I have Scarab God and I have the mana to play it. There's nothing they can do to get out of this in mono red. Especially with the value I'm getting here, I get to get rid of Insult and Injury and then exile it from their grave, so they can do 2 damage to target creature if I don't have a creature that does nothing. Okay, so yeah, let them keep Kazul's Fury. Don't play a creature this turn, we'll just eliminate the Chain Whirler. Pass. I maybe should have just Epic Downfalled and saved Eliminate because it's instant speed. Nope. Epic Downfall is definitely better against the Phoenix. Or I guess Cry of the Carnarium as well. I'll save Cry of the Carnarium in case they have more, what is it? More ways to spit out multiple tokens off of 1 card. Cry is going to be better there. And now I've got Scarab God against an empty board. That should be the game. That was just Languish.exe. Really brutal to board wipe a mono red deck. Royal Eruption. They can try to draw into enough damage to just shoot my face. Shark Typhoon here. Scarab God doesn't give haste, so we'll just pass. Bring back something from the grave, or I can flash out a shark, whatever I need. I'm just going to bring back the Enforcer. 9 damage this turn. Put him to 5. There's a Thought Erasure to yet again play it real safe. Don't have enough mana to play Shark Typhoon into Thought Erasure. That would be really cute. Reckless Rage, 4-2 creature, 2-1 they control. We'll get rid of Kazul's Fury. That is the scariest card. Throw Skeleton in the graveyard to bring back with Scarab God at instant speed. Attack for 9. Final draw step for our opponent. Can they do 7 damage to us off of this 1 draw? I don't think they'll be able to. Alright, and there's the concession. Cool, I've got 12 minutes. We're gonna do it. If I don't win this next game, though, it's not gonna end here. Because then I'll be 6-2, so... okay. One final game, come on, let's just win this last one really fast.
we can get the full draft out in this one video, get a nice 7-win run with this sick Dimir deck. Scarab God's ridiculous, Karn is ridiculous. I feel like we got Karn really late in the draft as well. God Pharaoh's Gift has been fantastic as well, and that felt like something we also got late. This hand is fine, 1 mana of each color. It's awkward that we have double costs in each color, but if we hit a single island or a single swamp, then we have multiple things to play. It's a little bit slow and awkward, but at least we have Petty Theft to maybe slow our opponent down and survive whatever they're doing. They're doing Dimir. I might not even be able to finish this game, actually. I didn't think that part through. If my opponent is playing against... if my opponent is playing a slow deck, I'm really screwed, because I might have to just concede early. So Wayward Swordtooth, so they can play 2 lands a turn. Do I want to eliminate that? Let's do it. That's going to turn into an actual 5/5 sometime. And I'll slow down their land drops as well, which is nice. Languish is a decent... well, the Swamp for the Languish is a decent draw. And there's Rashmi. Get a lot of value whenever they're playing cards, so I'm going to kill her with Bloodchief's Thirst. Maybe it would have been better to Languish her, because they're some kind of rampy deck. So they're likely to have stuff that has more than 4 toughness. So Languish might not be able to kill everything in their deck, whereas the Bloodchief's Thirst kicked can kill whatever. Oh, we're gonna get slammed by an opposing Karn here. Oh my god, Tendershoot Giant and Realm Cloaked Giant. I guess you can have a Tendershoot. I probably should have just given the Realm Cloaked, but I really want to Languish a Tendershoot because that just seems fun. I guess Grey Merchant. I'm going to Languish my own Merchant here, but I want to play something. I should have just played Search for Azcanta. I'm trying to play real fast. I should have just played Search for Azcanta for sure. Should have a land. They're about to trigger this Field of the Dead too. Actually, I'm not going to feel bad about conceding this one, because I'm pretty sure this one's just going to be a loss. Field of the Dead means whenever they play a land from now on, they're getting a 2/2 zombie, so I don't have much I can do to outvalue that. I can Languish the whole field. Then I have 1 mana up. And then Karn's just got to sit here and amass value. Yeah, this is going to be incredibly difficult to fight. Every time they play a land, they get a 2/2. They've got a Karn out, giving them another land every turn, or a non-land card that's going to be insane. That's a loss. Normally, I would absolutely play that game out to the end. I'd probably have like a 5% chance of winning, a very low percent chance of winning. That game was likely to end in a loss, but I would love to finish this draft in this one sitting. So let's get into the last game. We're 6-2, so no matter what, this is the last game. So now I don't even have to. I don't have to go crazy rushing this game. We'll play it out like normal, get our final game in, get a nice, full, complete draft out of this one. Very nice run, whatever happens here. We got the maximum number of games out of it for pure value. Definitely need to draw a blue source with this hand, but I do have Feed the Swarm. Got the God Pharaoh's Gift late game, which is insane. I think I still want to mulligan that, though, and then I can keep this. I've got both my colors. Maybe getting rid of the Shark Typhoon. I don't know. Storm Tamer doesn't do a ton, neither does Skeleton, but they're both super castable, and Shark Typhoon's not really. Opponent starts off with a Triome. Looks like the Sultai one, black, green, and blue. And a Thoughtseize. Unfortunate. There goes my Eliminate. Into Temple Garden. We played against another 5-color deck. Another 5-color Field of the Dead, Niv Mizzet Reborn kind of deck. The decks can be pretty insane. I think those would tend to be pretty good against my deck as well. They don't actually have the most interactive control ever. Like, decks with a lot of counterspells are gonna just slaughter the 5-color decks. feel. Outside of the Field of the Dead shenanigans, obviously nothing can counter a land for the most part. So if they get Field of the Dead shenanigans online, it's going to be a rough game either way. But without that, being able to counter their threats is pretty good, and my deck is not... It's not a counter spell kind of control deck here. Discard a Neutralize. Woo! I'm gonna guess it cycles, so that makes sense in a 5-color deck, but that is a bold double blue counterspell. But yeah, with the cycling. Witch of the Moors. At the beginning of their end steps, they gain life. Each opponent sacrifices a creature, and they return one from their graveyard to their hand. Interesting. They're down to 13 already because of their pain lands, so I kind of want to just Epic Downfall that and hit them for 2. There's an argument for Languish there as well, because my Skeleton will just come back, and I can get rid of their Florahedron that way. But I definitely don't have a lot of threats here. Vraska's pretty bad. Vraska gets 2 loyalty a turn, so I'm basically never going to be able to kill that with the current power that I have on board. Well, that's a draw. That's a draw. Certainly. That'll kill Vraska. I'll just solve that problem right away. Hit him down to 8 now. Temple of Mystery, scrying for our opponent. Suppose they have not played a red source, so they might just be 4-color. Probably casting Murderous Rider now. They're down to 6. This would be a really weird game to win, because I don't feel like I've put a lot of pressure on them. So they put this into my library second from the top, or I can just sacrifice Stormtamer and pretend they killed it, so I don't have to draw it again in a couple turns. Stormtamer doesn't seem like a great draw to have in a couple turns, so I'd rather just counter this so that I can actually top deck whatever I'm going to top deck. Of course, that's going to be really rough if it's all just lands, but I'm certainly hoping for some haymakers like God Pharaoh's Gift, Scarab God, lots of stuff. Cruel Reality, that is not good at all in this situation for my opponent, because Reassembling Skeleton is just hilariously good against that. I'm just going to keep sacrificing my Skeleton. They're down to 4 now. Do I want to feed the Swarm on their little Florahedron here? I don't think I do. I think I still want to save that for potentially something else. Maybe I should have cast Cry of the Carnarium and then brought back Reassembling Skeleton, so I could still save the Feed the Swarm for whatever. That was probably the play. I should have Cry of the Carnarium there. Now they get to exile one of my cards. They probably exile Feed the Swarm. Makes me feel not so bad. They do exile Feed the Swarm. They do take a damage to do that as well, so they're down to 3 now. Obviously going to sacrifice Reassembling Skeleton. Just a Rotting Regisaur on their field. But because they got rid of my Feed the Swarm, I don't have a way to kill that unless I Languish and Cry of the Carnarium. If I do that, then all their creatures are gone and they just have Memory in graveyard. So they'd have to tap out to play that at only 3 life. I think I actually am going to Cry of the Carnarium and Languish. Just wipe their board. I'm going to Languish first so that Murderous Rider goes into my grave. And so Florahedron goes into their grave to potentially get shuffled back in. Or so Murderous Rider goes to my bottom card. That's what I meant. Alright, so now they just cast Memory. Or we're in a top deck war, either one of those things. I guess in a top deck war they're in a pretty good position now that they have the treasure tokens to sacrifice to draw cards. Oh my god, Patient Rebuilding 2. Alright, Bloodchief's Thirst. What happened to my Skeleton? Why is my Skeleton exiled? Exile all creatures in all graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Oh, I thought it was just if a creature would die this turn, exile it instead. I thought it was just the second half. It exiles them even if it died way back in my upkeep. Oh my god. I think I'm going to just lose because of that interaction. Now I'm just going to die to Cruel Reality. With Patient Rebuilding as the top deck from our opponent, we're kind of screwed either way. I was really hoping they would just have to cast Memory because we'd be in a top deck war here, but they just immediately drew into something that allows them to draw multiple cards a turn, which is fair. They've been scrying a lot with their temples and their, whatchamacallits, this land, the treasure map. They scryed a lot with that as well. Oh, this is a rough loss. This is a rough loss, but I don't feel I would have been in any better position if I didn't just languish. Because then they just cast Patient Rebuilding anyway, and the same thing's happening, except I have a reassembling skeleton I get to keep bringing back. So I don't, like, take damage, I don't die as fast, but this whole mill shenanigans where they're drawing way more cards than me, that still happens. And that's the really important part. They're just drowning me in card advantage. I'm down only 16 cards now, 15, and I draw land. That's just game. I die to Cruel Revival in my next end step. And that ends the video exactly when I needed to end at 9:30. I gotta get out of here. If you enjoyed the video, which was a kind of weird video, I've been in a little bit of a mood, a little strange dialogue, commentary, whatever you want to call it. Just because I've got other stuff on my mind lately, obviously been incredibly busy, but I did not want to leave you all in the dust. I wanted to make sure to keep bringing you some videos. But with that all said, I am a very busy man who needs to get to work immediately. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena content.